My name is Junior Garcia, and my story is one of triumph. Not too long ago, my life took a sudden and unpredictable turn. I had always imagined that the mind was much like a garden, and a prosperous and happy life belied a garden state of mind. My garden state became a deformed, darkened sight, a tundra of misery. The dark part of my life felt like it was coming from infertile terrain, full of hate, discrimination, and humiliation that eviscerated any semblance of dignity or compassion. The police, who were supposed to be my friends as I'm a law-abiding citizen, have now abandoned me. They had long helped to build my mental garden state, but now they seem to cut ties for no other reason than to separate themselves and protect the interests of their respective garden states. The truth is, my life has not been easy for a long time. My family, growing up, had been supportive to a high degree. In my youth and teenage years, I would dream of escaping to our nearby baseball diamond. I cherished the time I had at the local playgrounds in El Puente, San Rafael, and Mau Valverde in the Dominican Republic. My father, however, may his soul rest in peace, was adamant about education. Studying came first, with anything recreational a distant second. I was pushed endlessly by my parents to become as academically successful as possible. The rest of my time was divided between lending a hand to volunteer efforts. Everything changed, though, when my sexual orientation came to light. Things became so toxic around society that I had to leave the Dominican Republic. Years of harassment and discrimination had squelched my sense of freedom. This poison that spread through the lens of society had ruined my chances for success, no matter how hard I worked. By the time I was 16, I had become a nurse. Even though that was a feat of its own, it was considered a woman's job in the Dominican Republic. The insults I incurred ranged from general derogatory comments towards my sexual orientation to more visceral attacks, where I was called a filthy animal. When I would hear the word homosexual, it sounded sinful, shameful, and heavy on my heart. I wished that, if for nothing else, people would have used a word like gay. Gay felt lighter and almost respected, as if it had a sense of belonging. That is why I came to the United States in 1997. But even in this area of freedom and opportunity, there would still be adversities left to face. On September 11, 2001, the World Trade Center buildings in New York City came under attack by unknown terrorist threats. At that time, I was working as a florist with Flowers of the World, a boutique floral shop located in the South Tower. Years later, in August of 2015, I was taken to a psychiatric hospital by law enforcement, and everything escalated out of control. These professionals in the medical field used a post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis and committed me to the psychiatric hospital, where they would conduct an evaluation on involuntary admission, resulting in a stay that far exceeded the period of time that evaluation was supposed to take. I had been preyed upon. My mental health was used against me, violating my human rights and civil and God-given rights. Then, in October of 2015, I was arrested against my will, and everything escalated again. This was an unjust arrest with no warrant. I had no Miranda's rights read to me. According to the United States Constitution, I didn't even have the right to a lawyer. My insurance premiums cost as much as $25,000 and were billed to the Bergen Regional Medical Center for treatment. However, you couldn't call what I received real treatment at all. I was mistreated, abandoned, restrained against my will, and the victim of extreme and gross negligence, as well as many other human violations. It was as if I was a third-class citizen. The reason these doctors used to get away with the way I was treated was that I was simply receiving a diagnosis, and the doctors could at will determine what they thought would be the best conceivable action. I am here seeking political asylum, as I fear going back to the place I once left, the Dominican Republic, will be no better. And yet, the circumstances of my current situation have made my life in New Jersey a living hell. I lived in New York City for 18 years. New York had real people that were compassionate and kind-hearted. My experience in New Jersey, however, has been nothing but the opposite. There is no sense of civil decency, nor is there the same level of care for the environment. This garden state has done nothing to promote the prosperity of truth, the act of doing the right thing, or allowing yourself to exceed the expectation of others. I understand that it may take a village or an entire continent of people to bring justice to this failed system, but we must start somewhere, and we must start sometime. That time is now. We must fight an egocentric system that preys upon the goodwill of man, delivering harassment and hardship to those already wounded or those who can easily be made to suffer. My branches may be cut, and my dreams may have been uprooted, but I will never stop reaching towards the sun. That is why I decided to become a psychologist, specializing in criminal justice. I wish to bring a voice to the voiceless. I will keep dreaming about my beloved New York City, a place that takes the bad with the good and cares for the weeds just as much as it does the roses. For the sun must shine for everyone.